Arbitrariness. What's wrong with it? Why in human rights law, Article 8, do we prohibit government and government agencies from arbitrarily interfering with citizens as they go about their life and in their conception, finding their own conceptions of the good life? I think Michael Sandel explains it well in his depiction and talking about Kantian ethics to follow.
All right. Does everybody recognize this painting? It's got nothing to do with anything. It's just one of my favorite paintings. Who painted it? Anybody know? Who? Rothko. Who said that? You get an A. Okay. Has nothing to do with anything.
There you go, love.
Oh, lovely. Thanks very much.
Oh, you can't have ketchup.
What do you mean?
You can't.
I'm sorry, excuse me, you can't use the basket?
What's that?
But these girls just ran through, so I don't understand.
Some people can come in, some people can't.
Is he joking?
That's nonsense.
I know.
You have to find an alternative route.
No,
up.
I don't want to. If he's going up, I want to go up.
He's allowed to go up.
Why?
None of us like to be told we can't do something.
Well, Tim, John Stuart Mill agreed with you. He made this criticism of Kant. He said, if I universalize the maxim and find that the whole practice of promise-keeping would be destroyed if universalized, I must be appealing somehow to consequences.
Right.
If that's the reason not to tell a false promise. So John Stuart Mill agreed with that criticism against Kant. But John Stuart Mill was wrong. You're in good company, though. You're in good company, Tim. Kant is often read, as Tim just read him, as appealing to consequences. The world would be worse off if everybody lied, because then no one could rely on anybody else's word. Therefore, you shouldn't lie. That's not what Kant is saying exactly, although it's easy to interpret him as saying that. I think what he's saying is that this is the test. This is the test of whether the maxim corresponds with the categorical imperative. It isn't exactly the reason. It's not the reason. The reason you should universalize to test your maxim is to see whether you are privileging your particular needs and desires over everybody else's. It's a way of pointing to this feature, this demand of the categorical imperative, that the reasons for your action shouldn't depend, or their justification, on your interests, your needs, your special circumstances being more important than somebody else's. That, I think, is the moral intuition lying behind the universalization test.